Hi everybody, and welcome to VodCast 19 for Honors Biology at Desert Ridge High School. I'm Mr. Galladay, and today we're going to be talking about anaerobic cellular respiration. Yesterday we talked about regular cellular respiration and the processes that go on in the cytoplasm and then also in the various parts of the mitochondrium. And we saw a chemical equation that looks like this, and we said that this is basically our basic equation for what goes on in cellular respiration and aerobic cellular respiration. But what happens if we don't have oxygen for a short time? What happens if there's no oxygen available? Obviously, for a long period of time, and by long I mean minutes, you are going to die. You're not going to do well at all. But can individual cells get by for a short amount of time without oxygen? And we call that anaerobic cellular respiration. And the answer is yes, they can. Now you might wonder, what conditions does this take place? And I want to show you a little video of some testing that does happen for that is done to determine that. This person is doing what's called, they're testing for the Vo2 Max. So this person is undergoing some stress testing, where, as you can see, they're monitoring his oxygen level, his oxygen intake, and they're giving him a gradually increasing level of exercise. That is what's called testing for their it's called their oxygen capacity, or their Vo2 max. And what that simulates is the condition in which your individual muscle cells can't get oxygen fast enough. Okay, so they have a little bit of they may have some sugar stored, they may have some starch, they may have some fats that they can break down to get fuel, but what they can't get fast enough is oxygen. And so what happens in those conditions? If you think about the times when you've pedaled a bicycle up a really long, steep hill, or if you're an endurance runner, if you've sprinted up a hill, or any kind of a sprinter goes into oxygen debt, that burning sensation that you feel in your muscles is produced by something called lactic acid. That we'll see we'll see that in just a minute. Okay, in regular cellular respiration that we talked about the other day, this is the situation that we have. We have oxygen. So we are taking our pyruvic acid over to the citric acid cycle if we have oxygen, and that citric acid cycle is producing more NADH, or rather NAD plus from the NADH, and then that NAD plus comes back over to glycolysis. Okay, and the other thing that we get out of oxidative phosphorylation then is lots of ATP. But again, if our cell, for a short amount of time, if it doesn't have any oxygen, well, what can it do? Does all cellular activity stop? In other words, do our muscles all totally lock up and freeze? And the answer is no. There is a alternative path to get a little bit of ATP so that your cells can keep working. And that's called anaerobic respiration. In anaerobic respiration, if you don't have oxygen, that pyruvic acid can be broken down into something called lactic acid. And lactic acid is what we feel in our muscles when you get that burning feeling when you're working at a very, very intense level. You're sprinting, you're running up a hill. I always feel it the most when I'm bicycling up a really steep hill, is when I feel that burn in my thighs. When you feel that burning sensation, that's from anaerobic respiration and buildup of lactic acid. What that allows us to do, what anaerobic respiration allows us to do, is to keep doing glycolysis, is for glycolysis to keep happening. Now, you only get 2 ATPs per glucose, but that's better than nothing. So what will happen is your Pyruvic acid gets broken down into lactic acid. Your NAD plus gets recycled this way, and then that breakdown into 2 ATPs can continue. Okay, just to show you one more view of this, this is anaerobic respiration. So our glucose molecule comes into the cytoplasm of the cell as normally, and it's available for glycolysis, and we have our system of enzymes that break that down into pyruvic acid. We get our 2 ATPs, and we also get some NADH. Okay, so that process would stop completely without oxygen because we would essentially run out of NAD+. Okay, so if our muscles are working, we're getting plenty of ADP back because we're burning this ATP to move our muscles. But we would not get enough NAD+ for glycolysis to happen. Okay, so if we don't have oxygen, what's going to happen? Well, we're going to use our pyruvic acid in another set of reactions. These are reactions that are controlled again by various enzymes in the body, and in that anaerobic respiration, that pyruvic acid will be broken down into lactic acid. But again, the important thing is that we get our NADH converted back into NAD+, which allows glycolysis to continue. So more glucose can come in, be broken down, and we get that 2 ATP payoff. Again, not much ATP, but for a short amount of time, this can sort of keep you running. So that if you're having to run away from a tiger or a predator, and your muscles are working so hard that you can't get oxygen to them fast enough, you get that last little burst just to continue exerting yourself. Okay, I'm going to hold it up here. The rest of the review I'm going to go over in class, but this gives you an overview of what we mean by anaerobic respiration and the conditions in which it happens. One thing I will mention is that when bacteria or yeast cells, when they break down sugars without oxygen, they don't produce lactic acid. They produce carbon dioxide and alcohol, which is where we get, when we use yeast for bread, that produces alcohol, which of course is evaporated off in the baking process, and the carbon dioxide bubbles are what make our bread nice and fluffy. And then of course the alcohol fermentation, the alcohol is used for alcoholic beverages of many types that humans make. Okay, so that's going to do it for VodCast number 19. This has been Anaerobic Cellular Respiration for Honors Biology at Desert Ridge High School.